Thank you very much for inviting me and be a part, I think, since the beginning of the Microsoft Purview and Defender days. And I'm very happy to be here. Today I'm in Hamburg because of the collab days here in Hamburg in the evening today. But let's start with a very interesting topic and another view. Before we start, thank you to our sponsors, and if you want to win something, here's the first prize, the second prize, and the third prize. And maybe I need no wireless headphones, so I will do also. No, all fine. Make here and say thank you to the sponsors and thank you to the whole team for organizing this. I know it's a lot of work to do all of these. So hopefully I counted right. I'm session number 8, Microsoft Purview and Practice, Regulation, Requirements, Working Council, Involvement, Transparency, and everything. And I'm very, very interested in, because we have a look on Microsoft Purview on another angle. We talked about, today I saw DLP, insider risk management, and all of this. Today, and for me, we will have a look on Purview itself, how it is submitted under the contracts and how it is working. So let's have a look a little bit deeper into this. Why, you asked me, is Raphael here and telling all of these things? Yes, because I'm a combination out of a lawyer and an IT guy. And I'm also the group data privacy officer of an automobile group, and we produced car parts and all of this. And yes, I have also, not me, but the company has also plants in India, and I'm also lead of a Microsoft partner here in Germany. We all do what the customer don't like, and it is the regulatory part of it. And yes, also Purview and all of this, but mainly the regulatory part. And I'm MVP and Microsoft Retail Director. If you want to contact me, use LinkedIn, for example, or send me an email, or come to my communities. So that's very funny. I make the same like you in India, also in Europe. So come and join us and join the discussions. We go a little bit forward. Okay, what we want to talk about and what we have to see. A little bit of introduction, Purview overview out of another angle view, Purview contracts. What are my contracts with Microsoft about Purview and Purview tools? And we have interesting news or interesting findings in this. Then Purview matching regulatory. How and why is it matching itself too? And then I have an example from the Data Explorer, with AI and DSPM for AI. And I look a little bit deeper into this topic. How is Purview audit itself when someone has access to files? That's very, very interesting. And at the end, we can make a little bit question and answer. So yeah, let's start and come with me on another look of Purview itself. So we have a look what the tool Purview, which help us to be compliant, is compliant itself. So let's have a look a little bit later. Let's have a look now. Introduction. You see here a little bit of history. If you work along with Purview, it was before the Compliance Center. It was before the Right Management Service. It means Compliance Center, Purview, and now we have the new name, or the name since some years, Purview. That is also interesting when we have a look at it. We have admin centers, Purview, Compliance Admin Center, and we have a Compliance and Security Admin Center together. We have a Security and Compliance Admin Center together. Today we have a Compliance or a Purview Admin Center. Maybe in the future, and I heard these from Microsoft, we have a Purview and Defender Center together, so a Security and Compliance Center together, because it's often the discussion is Purview and Defender, and that's why I like Purview and Defender days. Can we separate or we have a look together on files, on issues, on data leaks? And out of my plan, on data leaks, yes, we need both. But in this combination, we have data investigation as a Purview tool, not as a Defender tool. So yeah, that's very interesting that we have this history and these admin centers together, split. And we have to remember this a little bit later when I talked about emergency and backup for Microsoft Purview itself. Let's have a little look in this. But my main question also is, and I tell you a little bit about it in the next sessions, and the next slides. Is Microsoft Purview fulfilling compliance and regulatory itself, and which regulatory can be fulfilled? So let's have a little bit more look into the tools. And this is what hopefully you all know. We have, I called it the classic Purview tools. It's information protection, data lifecycle, record management. Yes, we get a regulatory record some years ago, and we are very funny, but data lifecycle, record management, when you have a look into last week's in last Ignite build, there is nothing new or spectacular. There are some features new, but no spectacular. Mostly is information protection and DLP in combination with Copilot. So we have these tools. We have communication compliance, insider risk, not much new things, but some features like in information barriers, compliance manager. Yes, we have NIS2 out of Europe, also the part of compliance manager. And these, what I call classic tools, when you have an ARP P2 or ARP P1 licensing, you can use this when you want to automatically things done like auto labeling. You need P2 and all of this. This is what we know, hopefully, and you all know this. And we have sessions today about all of these classic tools, and we have additional ones. What I call additional ones or Purview premium ones, because you need an Azure subscription to pay for this. And this is data investigation, the new tool. This is customer logbox. And this customer logbox, you need Azure subscription to use it. The same for S-MINE. You need the S-MINE infrastructure, so you need the Azure subscriptions, or you have to pay for S-MINE infrastructure to bring it to Purview. It's not itself. The same for the whole Azure thing. Microsoft Purview data catalog, data map, data insights, also assessments and compliance management. You have an E5, you have 3, but not more. If you want more, you have to pay for it. So more and more, you have to think about it, additional premium. So you need an Azure subscription to pay for additional and premium features. And not Azure subscription is the only one and the Purview premium part, but it's also, you have to go into other portals for customer logbox, for example. You have to go into an US portal to say, okay, I want customer logbox and all of the features. And yes, I have a customer logbox talk last year, but so let it go a little bit forward. But in these parts, you see a lot of news. For example, customer logbox new, it's for Copilot workloads. So you can use your own key with an Azure keyword. So that's why you need Azure subscription. You need 2, and then you use your key for the Copilot workloads when they are proceed with customer logbox. It's a good feature out of the data privacy and information protection view, but it's more for an exit concept. Then you can stop the working and the workloads of Copilot with customer logbox and customer key together. So we have customer logbox and customer key as these premium ones. And I heard that customer logbox is more and more P2 feature, and it was more and more P2 feature, but we get some new features. So what I mean is every time customer logbox and customer key together. So customer key is for Copilot Lawyer, a new, and customer logbox also is possible for Copilot. So maybe I will change the slide and make customer log and key so it's a little bit better, but this is what I see with premium features. Then we have something like DLP prevents now all new Office files that you heard hopefully today. And we have data investigation as a new tools beginning this year. And what I'm very happy about it, beginning this year, we have our own category for Microsoft Purview in the admin center and the news portal for Microsoft, where we see all of these news. So as to summarize, we have classic tools, we have premium functionality, and for premium functionality, often you need an Azure subscription or you have to go into or you have to go into another portal. And my favorite also is customer logbox, customer key news, and DLP news, for example. And at the end, hopefully, we see more of data lifecycle and record management in the future. But let's see and go a little bit forward. And a little bit forward is I have a look into all of these tools, all of these news, how I, as a customer, has a contract with Microsoft about these. And now let's have a look of the contract on the contract view of Microsoft Purview. The basic contract that we can use Microsoft Purview is a contract with Microsoft or a Microsoft partner, like a cloud solution provider, CSP partner. It's also covered by MCA, Microsoft Customer Agreement. It's also covered by Microsoft Customer Agreement Enterprise. And it's also covered by the Enterprise Agreement. But that is only the classic ones. When you need the premium ones, you need an Azure subscription, then you have to go classic. You need a new Azure subscription via a CSP partner, for example, or as a part of the Enterprise Agreement for 3 or 5 years. You have, for an Enterprise Agreement, for example, $50,000 in the Azure subscription. Or for the CSP, you have, for example, you say, okay, we use this Azure subscription and we pay what we use and what we need per month. So Purview is a part, and this is good news, Purview is a part of these typical contracts. Is every feature a basement of these typical contracts? No. So, for example, data investigation was a part of Enterprise Agreement, MCA, but not via CSP. So, what you can recognize is when we have newer tools, it often comes via the Enterprise part and comes months later. And today, and I heard this week, data investigation will also available about CSP. The same for, we have a test environment where you can test data investigation with your customers now, or you as a customer can test it now. That is very interesting that you see it at first in the contracts. When it works in the contract, then it works also in the technical basis. What is the part above? The part above, and you see it here, at the Microsoft conditions and terms, like the DPA and the product terms. And we have a look a little bit later in a couple of minutes in these terms of conditions. And then, in the additional of these, you have additional contracts with Microsoft. Additional contracts with Microsoft are only available for which one? Only available for EA, Enterprise Agreement, painting with mice, Enterprise Agreement, and MCAE. So not everything is possible for MCA and CSP. The only for MCA is the NDA for lawyers. It's a additional contract that says, okay, you can proceed sensitive data in a part for lawyers and all of these. This is part you can get with the MCA, but the other additional contracts, and these additional contracts are under NDA between Microsoft and the customer, so I can't tell you a lot about it, but a little bit I can tell you, because Microsoft put on a website last week some information like NIS2 out of Europe, DORA for finance and insurance. I know you have a little bit the same in India, but so for these special regulations, you get special contracts or additional contracts to your Enterprise Agreement, for example, or MCA contract, and all of this. And this is then the Purview tools, a part of this contract structure and all of these. But very interesting is, don't pay with the credit card. So use Microsoft partner, use MCA. So with under 500, you can use an MCA contract, use these, or use an Enterprise Agreement to cover Purview via on this contract structure and contract level. So this was the first view on what is with Purview and a part of contracts. And let's go a little bit deeper in this. Let's have a look at the Microsoft Purview and product terms. And I see in the beginning, we have Purview functionality that are not a part of a DPA. Yes, we have this. This is the multi-cloud scanning connector. When you scan AWS S3, when you need audit compliance in this part, these parts are not a part of a DPA, data protection agreement. So you have to recognize that, yes, when it's not a part of DPA, it's a higher risk out of data privacy and information protection without only the contract viewing. So when you use multi-cloud scanning via Azure with Azure credits, it's a premium functionality, then you have a higher risk because it's not under the DPA. As a lawyer, I can say, yes, at the end, it's because AWS is not a part of your contract and all of this. So scanning is a part of the other cloud functionality or the other cloud functionality. I painted. This is a little bit we have to think about. So it's logical, but for me it would be better when we have also these parts, this cloud scanning under DPA. But we have a lot of positive functionality and features. For example, the core tools. You see here, this is a list of core tools. I make a screenshot from the Microsoft compliance services, and we see here, so that's also a very interesting fact. You see here that the Microsoft 365 compliance services, that's not Purview, that's the compliance services. When you see here, you have compliance services are Purview, and hopefully you know it, maybe next year Purview Defender and Priva days, no, because Priva is, we'll see how long Priva we will have Priva, but you see here, they call the compliance service. We talked about compliance, the Purview. So these are compliance services, and which Purview services are part of compliance service out of a contract view? These ones are listed here. Not all, only these ones. Only these ones are core tools. And core tools are under DPA, SLA, product terms, and everything. Core tools has also the advantage that when Microsoft will change something, you had to inform you 1 year before, 6 months to 1 year. And this can be very critical. So for example, when Microsoft said, I use the RMS service with information protection. And yes, this line is here. You see it here. Information here. Information protection is also a part. I'm missing it here, but it's here also a part. So we use information protection and we use RMS key and we use it for encryption. And Microsoft said, we will cover the service tomorrow. Then you don't have access to your files because they are encrypted. So Microsoft has here 6 months to 12 months to encrypt all your files when the RMS service will be deleted. But no, is there any rumors or something? No. The RMS service will stay. But this is an example how important it is that you only use instead of these core tools. The other thing is, when you have a look, okay, these are the core tools, these are the DPA, then you have a look to what is with certificates and everything. Purview is often a part of certificates. So when you look here, you have to search for Microsoft compliance services instead of Purview. So when you look, is it ISO certificated and all of this, you have to look for Microsoft compliance services, not for Purview. So Microsoft certificates the compliance services, not Purview itself. So when you look here, Microsoft compliance services, SOC 1, yes, SOC 2, yes. So in this, we have a very good feeling. And when we have a look to the contracts, it's objectively, you see most of the Microsoft Purview tools are core tools. Most of them with these core tools has also SOC 1, SOC 2, ISO certification, everything, but not all. We have, for example, multi-cloud scanning. We have a risk in this part. It's not a core tool. It's not SOC 1, SOC 2, and all of these. So we have a little bit deeper look when we implement Microsoft Purview only out of a contract perspective. So I said to you, we have another look, another angle on Purview. That's another angle on Purview, which is allowed to use out of the Purview stack when you have a look to the contract ones to minimize risk to use Purview itself. So we are talking about Purview itself. And this is very interesting. Most of the people don't look at Purview itself. They use Purview to fulfill regulatory, to fulfill working council, and to fulfill something in the Microsoft area and use Microsoft Purview as a tool. But only a few people like me looking on Purview itself. And that's so thank you very much for inviting me with this session to give you some information about Purview itself. And when I go forward, I talk about the product terms, go to the DPA, and you see here, Purview, there's no word Purview in the DPA. There's also no word Purview or Purview tools in the Microsoft privacy statement, in the general one. So the DPA is a special one with when you have an MCA or an EA or an MCAE. So don't pay with credit card. Use a Microsoft partner. Then you have these terms of use or terms in the DPA, and that's no part of it. But and you see it before. Purview, the core tools are a part of the DPA. So at the end, look at the product term, and then everything you see in the product terms, you see here, these lists, and the Azure part, and these are a part of DPA. So data protection agreement is fulfilled for these Purview tools. For all, no, not for all. For example, for multi-cloud scanning, we have no DPA. So we have a higher data privacy risk when we use Purview in these angles or with these features. So hopefully you see it. It's very interesting to start with a contract view on Purview to see that not everything is fine. Not everything is every feature is used without any risks. But on the other side, you see that the core tools you can use out of a contract view without any contract risks or with a minimize of data privacy risk and everything. But let's go a little bit deeper now. I ask where are my data will be proceed in these tools. So we know storage of Purview data at the Exchange mailbox, a hidden folder in the mailbox with some tools, and you know it. You can look in it and you see the information. The information will be synced into the Exchange mailbox, and yeah, we will talk about backup and emergency Purview itself a little bit later. So, but this will be important there. So it's in the mailbox of the user, and we have storage in blob storage in the tenant boundary. But do we have access to this blob storage? No. So we have access to the mailbox, but we don't have access to the storage behind in the tenant. But it's in the tenant boundary. That's okay. Then we have support tickets. Support tickets. Out of the EU view or India view, it can be synced to US because only in US and also in Israel we have the specialists for Purview that can answer your question. So yes, we have data transfer out of our country. The same is for telemetry data. The telemetry data stays into the tenant region and will be anonymized in this region, but for example, the US product group and also out of Israel can have access via a remote machine to the telemetry data. With the remote machine of this is a part of EU boundary, so only for EU customer. We have this feature for India. No, they have directly access to the telemetry data of Purview when you have an India tenant. So this is only a special one for the government cloud US and the EU boundary ones. Maybe we will get an India boundary in the future, then we have the same system like in the EU boundary, but in India, no. So in India, the US people have directly access, not via Azure Virtual Desktop, for example. And the other thing is we have connectors. For example, we want communication compliance for WhatsApp and multi-cloud scanning too. This is not EU boundaries, this is not tenant boundaries, this is not DPA. So these are functionality from technical itself, also from the connector, because the connector are often US and also India companies. So we have here data transfer and not everything that's under the Microsoft contract of a contract view. The other thing on the right side, I looked where is the data locations, and there is no hint in the M365 Admin Center. And you see here for EU regions, so out of my regions, we see here we have some tools are part of the EU boundary, but we have also some like data investigations, data catalog. They are not a part of EU boundary. And we have also things like the MIP scanner. When I installed it on premise, maybe it's a part of EU, but it must be. I can install it in South Africa or in India. Then it's in my location, the scanner to scan my on-premise files. For all and the India, you can say this. It's often the 10 region plus US. And then I looked one more and said, okay, I want the advanced residency features. So that is a advanced data residency feature that we have this functionality only in my tenant. So it's not allowed that Microsoft moving these Purview data out of my tenant and the workloads. And now it's very interesting. ADR is only available for these ones: audit logs, information protection, data lifecycle, and information variants. For the rest, you can pay €2 or $250 per month per user to have advanced residency, to move these workloads into your tenant region, but the rest, no, it's not possible. So it's limited also to the ADR. And this, yes, this is a risk for using Purview itself. That the data location is there, that is fine, but there's also risk that you can put it when you want it all in your region itself. So what you have is there's a sync of data, like with the other tools. So that's very interesting when you have this look from contract to data locations for all the tools. And it's different to Defender. So for Defender, it's when you make this table for Defender, this is also very interesting, but more complicated than Purview. When you make this table for Defender, you have, for example, we have an EU tenant, for example, then Defender is UK, and UK is not a part of the EU, or they're part of the EU itself, yes, but not a member of the EU. So that's very interesting. And often the Defender are in US. So with Purview, you are mostly compliant than using the Defender parts, because often the Defender parts are a parts and proceeding the data all in US. So that's very, very interesting that the Defender parts are often not a part of the EU boundary program or the tenant boundary program, but Purview itself, yes. So we have differences between Defender and Purview. So Purview here are a little bit more compliant out of this perspective and angle on the tool. And let's look a little bit deeper and more. What happens with backup and emergency? When I use Purview, I want the backup. And when I use Purview, I want a process for emergency usage. What happened when I don't have access to Purview? What happened? I need it. I need, for example, what happened when I encrypt files with RMS and the RMS service is not available? How long I need to wait for it? And what I can do? And this is also a very interesting question. For Purview, often no one asks this question. In an IT demand, for example, in my IT demands, I ask this question too. And we asked, okay, what is with the backup for Purview? Yes, Microsoft has a backup. And there is a Microsoft Learn article where we said, okay, we have an SLA. Yes, we have an SLA for Purview. And it's every 3 months when we have a new SLA, you have a look. We have a very good SLA with 98% is positive and 98% is available of the service. That's all fine. But this is Microsoft and the Microsoft backup itself for the service. It's not for the data and configuration in the Purview service. For example, when you have a connector and you're putting extra data like WhatsApp data into Purview to scan it, what is the backup for this? And I can say that no, there is no backup. You can't restore data, for example, in the hidden Azure Blob Storage in the backend. And I talked, for example, with AvePoint, Rubik, and other backup provider, and they said, no, we have no solution because there's also no graph connector and no graph connector to make a full backup. So when you use Purview, you have to say that we don't have a full backup like with Exchange Online. So not every data can be restored or backup. But what we can do, the chance is the new Microsoft Graph, which based on Microsoft Graph configuration part, which based on DSC program. And with DSC program, you can have a backup of the configuration. You can make a report of the configuration. And with DSC in the new tenant, you can implement the configuration. So data itself, critical, but configuration, in some parts, you can secure your configuration and put it into a new tenant. Same, and we make a table which tools is possible, which not. And you see, not for everyone you have DSC. So not for every tool you can save the configuration. You have to do it manually. So please, for every Purview tool, make a manual, make screenshots, make PowerShell scripts. So that with PowerShell and DSC, in an emergency case, you can restore the configuration. and something is not possible with restore, and you see it in emergency use when something happened with the Purview service. For example, the first thing what I have a look, and as a data privacy officer and security officer, I said, okay, what is with the Purview admin rights, like the super admin rights? I can break every RMS encryption and have a look into every file. Is it possible with PIM and PUM? No. It is possible to control the super admin? No. It's only a PowerShell script with a security group. But out of a data privacy officer, information security officer, on a view on this role, this is a very bad role, because no PIM and PUM is possible. And also for a lot of Purview roles, no PIM and PUM is possible for these roles itself. These are Purview roles. These are not Azure roles. With Azure roles, yes, security reader, and we have some, but not all. I'm talking about all Purview roles. All Purview roles instead of the super admin role. This is not the Azure role. It's not the Azure role. We don't have Entra ID PIM and PUM functionality. So we don't have a process to say, okay, you have the super admin for 2 hours and you need a reason for this. No, you need a manual process in your company. And you need to make for example, AD part where you put in, or AD group where you put in the user for 2 hours and put them out after 2 hours, but it's a manual process. So this is something where we say, this is from beginning, and we see more and more Purview roles, admin rights, but not everyone is via Azure, so we can use PIM and PUM via Azure role, and reasons why you need these roles. So often it's not good. That's not perfect. Then, for example, no restore of the RMS key. When RMS is not available and you have encrypted files, it's not your key. It's not in your. You can't get the key from Microsoft. I try it with the Microsoft support in the last 6 months. I don't get the key. When the key is not available, and I try it to extract the key out of the TPM chip from the device. It was not really possible, but that's another talk. But restore of the RMS key, no. So when the RMS service is available, it's not possible. And also the same for when we have archive 100 years or 100 years, 50 years, and after 50 years, is the RMS service and the key available to uncrypt the file to read the file? No, or maybe yes, hopefully, but can we trust this? Maybe yes, but at the end, we need also for this backup. So for me, I archive only unencrypted. That is the same RMS. Also with other encryption technology, it's the same. Same with S-MIME, PGP, OpenPGP. Is it available in 50 years? We don't know. So I archive without encryption. It's a risk, yes, but I don't know if I can unencrypt in an emergency case these files so you get the information. The next one, Entra ID isn't available. No Purview part. So this is what I mean. Not every role is a part of an Entra ID and Azure role, so we can use PIM and PUM and all of these. Next one, Exchange Online isn't available. We have often, in some cases, no Purview. So because the Purview service looking for the mailbox and the information of the mailbox user, when Exchange is not here, we have services running, but we don't get the information Purview because the information flow is break. Then often we need security reader and global reader. And when I make 150 emergency cases with Purview, and I look at it, and often in these 150, I need for 120 the global admin. Yes, that's great. We have roles, but when you need an emergency case, you need to do a combination out of this. Often you need the global administrator and you need the compliance administrator and the highest administrator of the Purview in combination. So for your emergency admin, you have to think about it. For Purview, you need an extra emergency admin with more and more functionality and roles out of Purview and of this. So only emergency administrator for M.360? No, you need one for Purview. And when we have a look, and I have a full table for this, you see that only for the marked here, information protection lifecycle, there is a backup with DSC and PowerShell. With the rest is PowerShell manually. Yes, this is possible, and Graph manually. But there are third-party backups. I don't find one. When you have one in India, please put it into the chat and give me the information. How can I back up myself on my drive, and how can I restore? And this is the most part of the ISO 27001 in the last year, and that is why I do and make all of these things. Can we fulfill it to restore this? For example, the insider risk telemetry and information, so that when I have the reports, can I restore these out of my backup? No, that's not possible. Same for communication contracts, same for eDiscovery. No, when I get a backup, and yeah, but I can't restore it. So the only thing I can do is I can save the configuration, but save of the configuration is no backup. Sorry, that's no backup. That way I can configure one more time when something happens, but that is not a real backup. So the only backup is Microsoft itself. So I have a little bit of problem with this. The same for emergency and issues. For the most of the roles, no PIM and PUM, and we have something like super admins. They have access to everyone, access to the encrypted files of the CEO, and no one knows it. And maybe we knows it. So let's have a deeper look to the audit logs part. But before, I'm in it, but before, and then I have some minutes, but before, let's have a look to Purview metric ledger, and then we have a look in these deeper ones with the Data Explorer as an example. When someone has access to my file, is there an audit log for this? So Purview metrics regulatory. Yeah, you see it. We use Purview to fulfill regulatory law, internal guidelines, and often we need a defender in combination with this, but it helps us. On the other side, we need a match with the national regulatory itself. So matches Purview as a tool itself, the regulatory. Let's have a look. And we need to cover backup emergency. We talked about it, and often it's not possible for Purview itself. Is it a special thing for Purview? No. When we have a look at Google, when I have a look for Trellix, for other companies, Norton DLP, and all of this, we have the same issue. Often the backup and compliance itself, you can back up. So that is crazy, but yeah, it's in this industry, in this market of these tools. Often it's not possible to back up the tool itself on my space, on my local on-premise space. I want this. If you need it, that's another one. This is a risk assessment if you need it. But for me, I come every time with a maximum. I want it on my storage locally. No, can I have it on my storage locally? And can I, bring the backup back? So restore? No, and often nothing. Then needs company internal rules? Yes, that's it. So we have Purview both sides. This is a side fulfill regulatory. That's what we do on the whole conference. We fulfill regulatory, we fulfill guidelines. And these are hundreds worldwide. I have a database with more than 2,000 regulated worldwide. And how you start, and that's hopefully you start with the compliance manager, but not only. The compliance manager is a US view on this regulatory. Also in India, it's a US view. In Germany, NIS2 in Europe is also a US view on all this. Data privacy, GDPR is a US view on GDPR. So compliance manager is a good start, but you need a lawyer, an IT lawyer, and a lawyer to complete these, and to complete the angle, the view, and complete the findings. So when you are fulfill the compliance manager, you are compliant with rules. No, you need to do extra work. For this, it's a very good one. When you do this, you have fulfilled maybe 70%. It's more than other companies. So yes, start with this, but is it a full assessment and full regulatory? No, you have to look at the local law a little bit deeper than the compliance manager does it. And you need to configure Purview. This is very important. It's not on, do you switch on Purview or do you deploy labels and you're ready? No, that's not possible. And also for the licensing. You need licensing for every user. Yes, every user, they opens a document with auto-labeling. This user needs an E5 on Azure IP P2. So you need to also be licensing compliant when you use Purview. And when we match at these parts, and this is I have a full list of this, and this is often where we ask, and yes, I will create, and hopefully I have time in the next weeks, I will create an AI agent so that you can put in the regulation and you get the tools as an answer. So like this here, NIS2 out of Germany, information protection, conditional access, defender suite, and exactly defender suite cloud, for example, the cloud apps part. GDPR, information protection, data lifecycle. Finance regulation, and I look for Germany, Singapore, and everything, information barriers, data information, data lifecycle, and record management. So I have these as an Excel file, and maybe I want to announce it today, but I'm not ready. So I bring it into an AI agent so we can have a look. Okay, I have a regulatory, which tool I need. And this is a little bit like what the compliance manager did. But with the E5, you have only 3 assessments. And what I say, premium, you have to pay when you want to make more assessment. Then you get information, which tool and which doing you have to do. So that's okay, but for the beginning, it's fine. And one more with the Working Council. When I have a look into the Microsoft Purview Working Council, all of these, you see this is a German perspective. I know in India we have no Working Council at this, but the Working Council has the right to create a contract, and in, for example, as an attachment for a bigger contract about using IT tools in the company, using Microsoft 365, and the company needs to create an information letter, what for the Working Council, what is Purview doing, and update and reports of this, because Purview is doing with control of behavior. They control the behavior of the people. And this is in Germany a contract, a part of the Working Council law, or Betriebsverfassungsgesetz in Germany here. This is the law that the employees have, not against, work with their employer. And this is, behavior of people is Purview, so we need a contract and everything. So in Germany, for example, you can't activate information protection. You need a contract with your Working Council to do this at first. So very interesting. And for the last part, and I think I have some minutes. Is this okay? I have some minutes for a deeper look, and then I go into the answers, and then I think we are relatively fine. So I said at the beginning, when I said regulatory match to Purview, I said, let's have a deeper look into who has access to my file and is it Audit. And as an example, I have a look at it. Okay, we have Purview. We have Purview functionality. We have Defender functionality that opens hidden documents at a user part. So I can go into OneDrive, look at the file, but at the end, maybe it's locked or not. And I see the general issues here. Not every of these doings are logged in the audit logs. No, not everyone. I have an Excel sheet. I want to have only one example in this session, but I have an Excel sheet that not everything is logged and logged in detail. Microsoft is working on this. I give them my sheet and said, okay, we need audit logs for every opening document. Who is opening, when, what, why. We need this information. So not everything is possible today, but Microsoft working. The same with eDiscovery. You cannot find everything. For example, in Loop, no, you cannot find everything. You can find something in not core tools. No, so eDiscovery is not a full eDiscovery for the whole M365 environment. For my WhatsApp connector, no, it's not possible. For my and have a look for my RMS key with eDiscovery. Can I collect my RMS key and has access to the RMS key with eDiscovery? No, it's not possible. So something is solved, like the custom permission in Microsoft Information Protection, not in every part, but generally it works now, since 5 days for me, but not everything solved. So we have problems, and we know you have to know these. Not everything is logged. Microsoft is working on it, but not everything is logged. And one example out of these is the Data Explorer. I go into the Microsoft Purview Data Explorer, the new one, not the old one, the new one, and I have a view, Copilot, Exchange, OneDrive, and SharePoint. Here we see no Copilot, that's a 10 without a Copilot. M365 Copilot licensing, only Copilot Chat. So you need one Copilot licensing, then you see Copilot Chat and Copilot for M365, so the one you have to pay for it. Then you see here retention labels, sensitivity labels, all of these, all fine. So for me, it's very interesting. When someone opened this Explorer, is it locked? No. When something opened here Exchange and see, okay, we have 8,953 files. Do we have this? Is it locked? No. So when I have the right to go into the Data Explorer, it's not locked. No, there's no audit log. There's only one audit log I found. I have these roles. Oh, don't translate the headline, but you see here we have the admin, global admin, the global security reader, the Data Explorer list viewer, and the Data Explorer content viewer. The global reader and the global admin are PIM and PAM Azure rules. The Data Explorer list viewer and Data Content Viewer not. That are only Purview rules. A very positive one is we have privacy by design. So as a global admin, you need the Data Explorer list viewer and the Data Content Viewer to have a look into it. That's good one, and this is privacy by design. That's fine, but that we have the Purview rules, no PIM and PAM, that's not the best idea at the behind. And these are some scenarios, and I go back and tell you a little bit here. When you have these scenarios, and I tell you go into it and you have a look at it for a special email or file in a OneDrive. And I look all of these scenarios. You have an audit log. For often you have no audit log. For opening the detail activity explorer and data explorer, no. The source, no audit log. You export it to a CSV file, no audit log. It's no possible to have a warning on this. So when someone has a right, you have less control of it, what he's doing with his right. That's not good. That's what I mean is Purview need to be better for itself, to controlling other tools, controlling other user, controlling and helping to control, fine, but it needs to control itself too. And the only thing is, and that's what you see here above, is in the activity and data explorer, that's the same. You have the data explorer activities. And the only audit log is available is the content explorer activities. So, and which part is locked? The only part which is locked in the audit logs is, and you see it here, an admin or a user with the rights of the Explorer Content Viewer, the Purview rights, or Content Explorer View rights, looking at a message of a SharePoint or a OneDrive, an email in SharePoint or OneDrive document. So only for these three documents, when they opened it in this preview in the Data Explorer, then it will be locked. The rest, no log, no audit log for this. And this is a little bit crazy. And here is the link. Here is the screenshot of this. I only find the label Content Viewer Explorer. These are the logs, the label Content Accessed Item. This is only when I access an item in email, SharePoint, or OneDrive document. Other documents and other storages, no log. We have this log, but it's not locked this. So it's locked only the one. And it's very interesting that you need the rights, the Content Explorer Viewer, to see the files. When you don't have the right Content Viewer and Content Analyst, you see only the user and the file. And the user and file is pseudonymized, so privacy by design. So when you want to see the audit log and the full audit log view, you need also the Data Content Viewer rights, also Data Explorer Content Viewer rights. That's very interesting. I tested it, so you need these rights in additional. So that is privacy by design on the one hand, that's okay. But on the other hand, when you are the controller, you need more rights to control the admins or to have them view. Okay, so this is a little bit, and I finished filing with this. How compliant is Purview itself? Contracts 90%, data location 70%, backup 20%, emergency tool 20%, tool itself 70%, audit logs 50%. So compliant itself is not compliant 100%. So sorry, but Microsoft is working on it, and I'm giving a lot of feedback, and hopefully you like these. And I should